Welcome, everyone, to episode 7 of season 2 of San Antonio by Night, The Oncoming Storm. Last we left off, our coterie went home from their rather eventful and interesting meeting with the barons at the Tower of Americas, enjoying the beautiful view as the restaurant circled above the city, as well as listening into conversation and figuring out what it is that the barons plan to do about the Camarilla threat, rumored to be coming from Dallas. After that, Urien went to the meeting house to talk with his childer, see if he could establish some kind of rapport with him. Perhaps even persuade him not to come after him. But it seems that with Urien being the person who murdered Carlos, it's going to take some time at the very least. But today's episode, we are going to focus on Amber and Urien. Amber, primarily, as she has plans for this night to look into a certain detective that's been poking his nose where it shouldn't belong. Amber, why don't you give us a little bit of an idea of how you plan to go about this little endeavor of yours?
Yes. The matter of one deacon poking his nose where it doesn't belong. Pain in my ass for the scene. And not of the pleasant kind.
You haven't even met the man, and he's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's probably only going to get worse. So, I suppose, Fanny, my first thing is going to be watching where he goes. Find him and see his movement throughout the city, where he's going, he's talking to, why he's talking to them, how he's talking to them, and what he's talking to them about. I need to get a good profile on this guy's modus operandi. Once I've got that, then the the fun can begin, I guess. Or at least as much fun as this is going to be. Where I start planting the seeds of dissent and giving many to not poke nose. And that's just step one. There's so much more to do after I get into this little you know, mess. Because there's also the matter of a particular father, Father Trent. His very actions rub me the wrong way. And so I think the best way to deal with these two together is to work on one, getting good with one, and then set one against the other. And watch them tear each other apart.
Certainly seems like an interesting plan.
Let's just hope I've got the cojones to pull it off.
One can only hope. Urien, what are your thoughts so far tonight?
I would have to end up saying that I'm trying to prepare myself for war. battleground itself will be San Antonio. The truth is that I'm trying to find a reason to care. And if it was not for my progeny here, my students, I would probably simply pick up once it all begins and make my way into another. It's difficult to travel from city to city, but probably less dangerous than it is to deal with, well, an invading Camarilla force. I hear young ones talk about Camarilla and completely misunderstand the threat. It's infuriating. And right now, I'm giving Amber the task to be able to end up dealing with Deacon and Father Trent. Should she require my assistance, I will gladly aid her in it, but there is a part of me that is wondering if she is indeed up for the task. With a person like Benji, it's surprisingly straightforward. With Amber, well, if you do not choose the direction for yourself, the world will choose it for you. And I am still unsure if she truly is directionless, or if her charms are simply even causing me to be blind. It's a frustrating thing. So I'm about my domain right now. Hunting. Well, observing, policing, if you will. Looking for someone who has crossed the line, who has been there without request. I have a few kindred now who are about the place, who are keeping eyes for me. And it grows. Yet still, my herd, my presence, and the eyes of the Camarilla through the policeman, Deacon, are making me weary. I wish I had more time to prepare. But despite having eternity, truth is that time is very finite from moment to moment. And I think that's something that is lost on those that are older. I almost forgot what this felt like, to feel rushed for time.
I suppose that's one of the advantages of having such young charges in your stead. They keep you focused on this moment and how fleeting those moments are. For now, we will follow Amber as she roams the streets of San Antonio, trying to piece together what it is that she's going to be doing tonight. Amber, what is your first plan of action here?
My first plan of action is simple. I must locate Deacon. I know that he works in one of these precincts here in Delgado's domain. However, there are a number. I must narrow it down. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is searching the city And, if need, I will, see if I can't get in contact with some people using my fame to see if they've seen someone of that description around the city. Around in the northwestern part of the city.
Hmm.
I'm sure that little bit of clout that I have should offer me the ability to at least see if someone has seen someone.
Okay. Are you planning on going through your own domain and then circling outward? In looking for... Are you looking for where he works? Because you know where he lives.
Looking for where he works.
Okay. Then I would like you to make a charisma plus streetwise plus lane.
Lane. And
Charisma or
lane is...
manipulation, your choice.
I'll go manipulation, and lane is 3 dots. Okay. And you said streetwise.
Mm-hmm.
Manipulation, streetwise, lane.
Going through the methods in which you know how to get in touch with people, there's certain individuals that you've been in contact with throughout the domain. Not serious contacts, but people that you know that you can talk to, especially given your beauty and charm, that would freely be able to tell you what it is that you know around your domain. When talking to these individuals, being that it's still early in the night, they're quick to tell you that several detectives do in fact make their primary headquarters near the domain. The specific one that they typically are found in is the Northside ISD Police Department, which is just on the border of your domain, or just outside the border of your domain, actually.
It sits on the border between
the rest of Delgado's domain and Sanctuary.
Sanctuary, right? Okay.
It's kind of right on that street that borders that your domain.
Border. Yes. Okay.
You know that a couple of the detectives that are mentioned do make their workplace there. So, as far as Deacon Johnson goes by name, you're not 100% sure, and they're not 100% sure either. Being that this is such a large city, it is kind of hard to determine where exactly each individual police officer resides as far as their headquarters, but it is safe to assume that if many of them are at the Northside ISD Police Department, that it's likely to find him there. While the rest of the northeast side of town, sorry, is kind of a smattering amongst the other precincts.
I see. Well, at the very least, I have a point of call. That's my primary insertion point, and that's where I'll begin looking. So I think that'll be my first stop tonight.
Alright.
Watch, listen, see.
So, you make your way towards the Northside ISD Police Department. And You see that it is a fairly large building. You get the feeling that a lot of pencil pushers and a lot of beat cops come out of this place. It's not a hugely tall building, not like the Tower of Americas, which was the tallest site that you could possibly see in this city. But it's a couple stories, definitely an office building, has police vehicles outside in the parking lot. Looks like they're just down the road. The fire department and ambulance garage is not far.
So, all the emergency services are relatively close together. That's interesting.
Mm.
As I pull up there, just it's a little ways away. I don't want to seem conspicuous. I think what I may do is I might just stake out a little bit. Keep an eye on who comes in and out. I'm sure I'd have a basic physical description of what Deacon looks like, yes?
Yeah, you would have a general description of him.
So I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye on that, and I'll also open my senses a bit, activating the heightened senses that I don't exactly know that I have at the moment, because, well, I only just got them.
You fixate on the doors, and you fixate. The attention to detail starts to grip at your mind, and it's almost as if your eyes focus on the lettering on the door. You can read it completely by being just a couple hundred feet away. It seems like the darkness of the night sky is generally not hampering you. The street lamps, when you look directly at them, seem to give you a little bit of a headache, and you steer your eyes away from those, but you focus in. I would like you to make me a wits plus awareness plus auspex.
I need all the dice I can for this one. Yeah. I'm gonna willpower those 2 normal dice.
Okay.
Better.
You watch as police officers come and go. You start to take note of the general demographic of the people going in, as far as the police officers, concentrating on them primarily. Anyone that isn't a police officer, that isn't dressed in a uniform, you pay no mind to. They are not important today. You see about 7 individuals come and go before a rather tall black man, kind of strong looking, dressed in a bit of a uniform, but it looks a little more casual, as if maybe he's not a beat cop, that he's a detective. He comes out of the building looking as if he's going to a personal vehicle, not a squad car. Looks a little weary, like maybe he's had a long day at work, but he's there. He strolls up to a bit of an old beater car. Oh, did I miss something?
No. Just musing, that's all.
if you're gonna muse, you're gonna need to speak up because it's not catching you.
Ah, apologies. As he comes out, Amber kind of just smiles to herself softly. Ah, Northside ISD. See. Let's see where this goes. And I think, as he's walking over to that little beater car of his, that I might tail him
Okay.
at a distance.
All right. You look at the vehicle. It's a little drab. It's a beater maybe by your standards, but maybe something a little less ostentatious than the vehicle you're driving in. It's more of a simple Honda Civic, maybe a 2015. You're not sure. When he gets in and pulls out of the parking lots for the officers' personal vehicles and starts to drive. How far away do you want to keep your distance?
I want to keep my distance such that he doesn't get exceptionally suspicious that someone's following him. Not attempting to cause an encounter at this point in time. I'm just watching.
Okay. With it being about 10 o'clock, most of the traffic of the city has died down, especially off the highways. So, it wouldn't necessarily be a terribly difficult role for you to follow him at a distance. So I would like you to make me a... It's going to be a drive roll. Let's do a composure plus drive.
Composure drive? I can composure drive.
That way we can determine how cool you're keeping things.
2 successes, so kinda averagely cool.
Okay. You occasionally notice that you're getting pretty close, especially when you're coming up on traffic lights. This isn't a street that goes all the way through without stopping. No, there are traffic lights in which occasionally you do pull up on his tail. But the direction in which he is going is towards the north central side of town. Not terribly far. It seems as if he pulls off into a decent looking neighborhood. It's not terribly nice, but it's not run down by any means. The grass is kind of browning from the summer heat. The coloration of the house is rather plain on the outside. It's part of a fairly closely and cramped neighborhood. Not very well spread apart. No real privacy from next door to of any real kinds. Maybe 5-10 feet between houses.
So not necessarily run down, just boring.
Boring, middle
Right.
class.
Well, I suppose it is what it is with that one. Not just anyone can afford the kind of things in. But I mean, I may end up pulling up his tail once or twice due to the fact that there are traffic lights along the street, but that's not going to seem exceptionally weird. Could just be that I live in the same neighborhood.
Could be. So he pulls into the neighborhood and slows down to pull into the drive of one of these very boring houses. His name on the mailbox, it's rather plain, just a box on a stick. The house, made of what you can only guess is wood slats on the outside. Painted white. Gray trim. Dark roof.
I see. Well, parking right now would pull suspicion, so I will do a... Now that I know where it is that he's pulled into this house, his home, I'll do a lap around the block.
Okay.
And then come to park so that I may now keep an eye on him.
The street is pretty long, so how close or how far are you parking to his house?
Park a little ways down the street.
A city
so
block?
that he...
Half a block?
We'll go half a block.
Okay. It's about 2 or 3 houses down. On the
Yeah.
sidewalk. Or on the curb.
On the curb. Just because... It's, I don't want to pull attention. If I pull attention, this could go very awry very, very quickly. Not that I don't have the skills to persuade myself out of these kinds of situations, but I'd rather not have to employ those until absolutely necessary.
Obviously. So, by the time you're parked, you've circled the block a little bit and come back around and parked half a block from Deacon's house. He's already gone inside because you see that he's not in his vehicle. So you assume he's gone inside and already started to settle in.
Yes. Let's see if he's talking about anything. See if I can't use my heightened senses to...
Okay.
I'm sure there'd be the sounds of the humming of electricity and TVs and whatnot, but let's see if I can't try and tune into his voice. See if he's saying.
Okay. Are you going any closer to the house, or are you staying at your half a block away?
I'll hop out of the car, making sure to lock it rather thoroughly, and move in on foot.
Okay.
Just as if I'm walking by.
As if you're going to walk by the house. Okay. Then make me a wits or resolve plus awareness plus auspex one more time.
I'll make that wits, because my resolve is terrible. Ooh. Yeah, we'll power those 2 dice, why not?
Or you could succeed at a cost.
What's the cost?
The cost being, let me think. Someone else might show up. Someone else is aware and coming to this location.
I'll take the cost.
Okay. So you listen in, and he starts to go to... You can hear inside the house that there is the low humming of electronics, but you focus in on his voice and his wife's voice. You hear the baby cry a couple of times. You hear that he's taken the baby from his wife. He starts to go in and he starts to talk a little bit with his wife about what's been going on at work. You hear concern in his voice because he's concerned he hasn't found Dante O'Donoghue, his friend from the hospital. That Dante hasn't made any contact with anyone else. He's starting to get worried. His wife also expresses concern, as from what you can guess from the conversation, they're family friends.
It might be an idea to concern myself with that then. Maybe if I find some information, I might be able to indent him to me.
You listen a little bit more, and you overhear that Deacon has called another friend from the police force to come over. That they want to have a conversation, and just as he's saying that, in the home, you hear a car pulling up. It's a fairly quiet car, but it pulls up in the as you're passing the house in the direction that you're coming from, that you're going toward, and those headlights are looking. They're really bright, and the more they come up on you, the more your eyes start to strain and hurt.
I'm gonna need to switch that off. Too bright.
Okay. And so you lose the rest of the conversation in the house.
Call someone else, so I'll keep an eye on that. Okay.
The car that was coming down the road eventually comes to a stop in front of the house, and a beat cop. He looks like a beat cop. He's still in uniform. Comes out of the car. He's an older gentleman. Looks rather strong. But you can only assume that this is the person that Deacon was talking about. They go up to the door and ring the doorbell. And after a moment, Deacon answers the door, invites the gentleman in. And closes the door behind them.
Right. He's shown up. I suppose that now that he's out of my, now that the headlights are off and I'm not getting blinded, I might slowly make my way back to the car. I might, go a little ways past the house, turn around and come back, reactivating my heightened senses to see if I can't pick up some of what they're talking about. Just as a pass-through on the way back to the car before making my way to other places.
Okay. I would like you to make me a composure plus stealth.
I can compose stealth.
Mm-hmm.
Or apparently I cannot. Wow.
When you activate your heightened senses one more time, you hear that Deacon starts moving in the house again. And you see that the door opens up to the house. and he's looking at you. Are you lost?
I kind of, I kind of act like I jump a little bit as if I wasn't expecting someone to talk to me. I turn around and I turn. It's like, oh, no, I'm just out for a walk. Nice night, isn't it?
Nice night. Yeah.
Yes, I was just on my way out.
Alright. Well, have a good night.
And you as well, sir. And she smiles to him sweetly.
And he goes back in the house, shutting the door quietly.
And I'm gonna keep my ear out as I leave the front of the leave outside of the front of the house to see what what he has to say on the matter, because I'm sure he's going to say something to that big cop.
He waits a moment and then starts the conversation back up again, talking kind of quietly. It seems that you don't hear the wife or the baby anymore. You get the impression that maybe they've gone to another room. And Deacon just kind of sighs a little bit in frustration. I don't know what to do, Chuck. I don't have a way to call him. He didn't give me his number. The only thing that none of it really makes sense. I mean, yeah, he was going to blow off some steam because of the breakup, but he's not back. And you hear what you assume to be Chuck just kind of pipe up. You hear a pat on his shoulder, and he says, "Look, man, I'm here to help you in any way I possibly can. You know that." And they start to kind of talk a little bit. You hear Deacon say, "The only person that I know that I have a name for in regards to someone else who knew Dante that isn't a part of the hospital is this Urien Doyle guy. I've met him like twice, and he's concerned about him too, and I just don't know where to find him." And Chuck just kind of pipes up, "Okay, it's my specialty to look into people, and I'm gonna see if I can find anything on this guy. You know that I'm here to help you. We want to find Dante." And they continue to go back and forth about what kind of leads that they might have in order to find Urien Doyle. Which isn't much. They have a name. They don't know where to find him.
They don't have a lot. Alright. They're still somewhat stumbling around in the dark. Okay. That, I suppose, means that we have a little bit of time. Just a little bit. It doesn't provide me with a lot of hope, but it does provide me with, I suppose, a couple of opportunities that we might be able to set up the planting of some information. I suppose I'm going to need to tell Urien about this. I think Urien would be interested to hear what exactly it is that they know. And the fact that he's decided to get someone else involved. This Chuck. God.
So, what do you plan to do?
I think I'm going to get back into my car. And I'm going to remove myself from this neighborhood.
Okay, so you make your way back towards your car. And do you drive out of the neighborhood?
Yes, I drive out of the neighborhood,
Okay.
keeping an eye on to see if I'm going to get tailed by someone, because it's the last thing that I need.
Where are you going?
I think my next stop will be. I suppose there was another person that I needed to talk to tonight.
Hmm.
I think I need to figure out a way to get in contact with one Bure.
Bjor Duval. The Nosferatu.
Yes.
You kind of have an idea of where you might possibly be able to meet him, and that is the spot you last met him.
Yes. I think I've got a little bit more information on Deacon, but it means that I might also be able to put in a request with the large rumor mill to see if I can't get a little more. And in that, I might also be able to start planting some seeds into the rumor mill to distract those who might use it to oppose us.
Okay.
As I said I would, setting up that foundational information network between at the very least, the baronies of Delgado and T-Star.
Hmm.
I might have to get in contact with them tonight too. It's a night for talking.
It's a night for talking, indeed. You do also have a contact number for Bjor that you were given by Urien.
That was a one use only. I'm not going to use that again.
Okay. How do you intend to get in contact with him otherwise?
I'm gonna have to put my snoopers to the street and see if I can't. I suppose happenstance meeting. If not, I will have a talk with Urien as to how I might be able to set that up properly. Because Urien is not aware of the things that Benji and I talked about with Albert and Dran, and I'm sure that he'd be very interested in knowing.
Quite possibly. So, I would like for you to make... How long are you willing to spend on this? I know you have piss poor resolve, but...
I do have piss poor resolve. I'm willing to spend a little while, but unfortunately, the virtue of patience isn't something that I was blessed with.
No, it was not. So,
I'm learning, slowly but surely.
make me a wits plus streetwise.
This isn't going to be good. It's not a compulsion. That's nice. But otherwise...
You have
No.
absolutely no idea how to get in contact with this Nosferatu, because it doesn't seem that there are any kind of markings, any kind of indicators, anything in the little park that you had met in last time to indicate that maybe you could contact him here, or how you would.
You know, for someone with such a nausea-inducing face, I thought that'd be easier to find. Oh well, no matter. I will have to talk to Urien about it when I see him next. I suppose, for now, I don't want to specifically bother him at the moment. He said that he was going to go out to the meeting house and I imagine probably do whatever it is that Urien does in his spare time. So instead of bothering him, I think I might give a call to the Toreador that I met last night. Dren.
Okay. You give a call to Dren's secretary.
Yes, the number that I got was Jen's secretary.
And she answers, hello?
Yes, hello dear. I was wondering if I could get in touch with Dren. I have an appointment.
Yes. You have an appointment. And your name?
Dupree. Amber Dupree.
Amber Dupree. Okay. He is available to speak with you tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Tomorrow will do then.
Is there anything else I can help you with, ma'am?
No, my dear, you've been a wonderful help. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling. And the line goes dead.
Amber just looks at her phone for a moment. She's just like... time. Time and time and time. And she, puts her phone away and... Well, then it seems like... It seems like tonight is being a, rather large pain in the butt when it comes to convenience. Oh well, it is what it is. Well, maybe we should go find a little bite to eat, have a little fun, and then go and see what Urien's up to. Maybe go out to the meeting house and meet him there.
Okay. So, you're making your way back to Sanctuary to hunt?
Yes.
Okay. Then go ahead and make me your feeding roll.
My feeding is manipulations. That's a messy crit.
That is a messy crit.
6 successes, but it's a messy crit.
It's a messy
Oh, boy.
crit. Do you want to fix it?
Yeah. Oh. I mean, I have. Yeah, I'll reroll. I'll reroll that. I'll reroll that 10. I'll reroll the 10 and the other 2 fails and see if that'll fix it.
Okay, go for it.
So it turns
Okay.
it back into just 4 successes.
4 successes, and I believe that is enough for your chase, unless you have a feeding restriction.
I don't have any restrictions, no.
Perfect. Then you're able to walk up to an individual, carry on a small conversation, takes about an hour to warm them up, and you easily are able to slake the one hunger, unless you want to destroy this person. Why not take it all?
No.
Take it all. We need it. We need all the help we can get, Amber. It's about control.
Oh, it is about control, but the control is having fun, and this is fun enough.
You know for a fact the more that we take, the more hunger we're able to get rid of, the better control we have of everything.
Oh. You think I don't know this?
I know you know this. So why not?
Because if you knew a thing about control, you would know abstinence is a form of control.
I suppose. Abstinence makes it easier for me to come out, though, and you don't want that, do you?
Used to say, right now I don't particularly know what I want.
Tempt me. See what it gets you.
I always liked to live life dangerously. Now I'm living death dangerously.
So you're just taking the one?
Yep, just taking the one.
Okay.
It's all I need, and this is meant to be a little bit of fun. Killing a person isn't fun. It leaves a mess.
It's always fun.
It leaves an awful mess. And not to mention, sometimes the person doesn't exactly deserve it. If we find someone that's more deserving, then, well, depending on the circumstance. And need. I don't like killing people willy-nilly. I don't really like killing people at all, but if it's necessary. Unfortunately, things happen, shit breaks, people die. It's a part of the cycle of existence that we live, but I'd rather not fuel that any more than is necessary. The world does more than enough to kill people. Doesn't need me in it. Adding that.
And
So, yeah,
whatever little voice was prodding at you and doesn't really say anything more.
So, yeah, I'll slake that one hunger, and I suppose with that out of the way, all I can do is go and talk to Urien. I'm gonna have to find him first. I could check the meeting house.
Good.
Yeah, let's check
He
the meeting
kind of barged
house.
out of the house a little bit because of an awkward situation between you and Benji earlier this evening.
Yes, I don't think his mind could handle all of the pants on cuddling and making out that Benji and I were doing. I suppose it would be kind of a terrible sight to, watch him and me sucking face. But, it is what it is. I think Mr. Doyle needs to learn to go with the flow a little bit more.
Who better to teach him than you, right?
Well, I would consider, very much so. I would consider myself a very go with the flow kind of girl. But, it's funny. His reactions are funny. And, his jokes, as much as they are very, dad-like, are also very funny. As much as I hate to admit it. But let's go and, let's go and see if I can find him. I'm sure he'd be somewhat interested to know that Deacon is getting other people involved.
On that note, we are going to switch over to Urien. Sitting across from a very frustrated looking Carlos, because as simple as drawing a circle might seem, he is not very good at it. He is having trouble kind of understanding concepts, drawing the circle in to begin with. Fine motor skills aren't the issue. Seems like it's just not clicking really.
Still, I don't blame him so much. Perhaps if I were to have chosen a child are more suited, but I did not expect a babe to crawl as soon as it came out of the womb. I simply smile a bit, might seem a bit cocky more than anything. I'm more amused than anything. Carlos, remember, at the heart of it, all this is an expression of will upon the universe, and having it bend to your wishes.
Yeah, that's the concept that I'm having an issue with, and he kind of ruffles his own hair as he's sitting on the floor. You're saying that I can just will a thing, and it happen.
Not quite, but close. It is... When Urien grabs a piece of chalk and just kind of hucks it, not hard, just kind of lobs it towards Carlos. He makes sure it stops short so it'll roll towards him. Pick that up.
And Carlos goes to pick up the chalk.
Okay. How did you pick that up?
Well, I looked at it, thought about picking it up, and I suppose I didn't give it that much thought, but it just kind of happened. Because my body knows how to do that because I'm a grown-ass fucking adult.
Yet I don't have to explain how the biceps or triceps work for you to know how to pick that up, do I?
No, I guess not.
You are wanting an explanation first of how all of the entire arm works, how does the thought translate to movement. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to know is that it starts with I am going to pick up this chalk. I am going to draw this circle. I am going to express a thought. I am going to change a mind. I am going to bring the blood to boil. I am going to manifest. I am going to protect myself. At the end of it all, it is simply an expression of will. No different than your sight. It might come more naturally, but this is a gift unique to ours. Something that cannot just be learned at the drop of a hat. It is something that is honed, crafted.
This is gonna take a lot of work. I know that already.
I would not have stressed it if that were the case. I do not expect you to understand this in a single night. I only ask you to understand enough to follow along. You observe and you create. And it starts with understanding something as simple as a circle.
Are we taking a break? Because I could use a break. My brain's just all fuzzy.
No, it's quite alright. He just extends a hand to Carlos to help him stand.
And he stands up with you. And he stands quite a bit taller than you.
Oh yeah, I imagine so. Childer. Come, let us sit at the table for a moment. I may have to hunt soon. But this was more important.
Didn't you say that Fox was coming back tonight?
One would hope, but let us be real here. He kind of checks the expression. What is being asked is for her to, or for them to return and into an individual who they know is more than capable of draining them dry, who may hunger. It is not exactly... I imagine they'll be fighting against some instincts of self-preservation, which sometimes we must, in order to advance ourselves forward. This merely one step towards that. We'll continue practicing the basics of circles, of feeding, of habits, keeping hidden. You will at least have time to grieve for what you will lose and prepare yourself. It is not a courtesy afforded to the most.
Yeah. And it's about that time that you hear a knock on the door. A rather loud knock.
Carlos, would you be kind enough to get the door and check to see who it is?
He gives you a nod, and you weren't expecting anybody tonight?
I never expect anything. I work with what arrives. When they come, so long as you believe it's safe to do so, observe and try and understand what you are seeing. Urien walks to the kitchen table, places it down, he even pulls aside the window or the curtains so he can take a look through the trees towards the street lights just beyond.
And Carlos goes towards the door, looking a little cautious. He looks as if he's about to reach for something on his hip, and then he realizes there's nothing there. And then goes to the window to check out the window. He slightly opens the door and says, "Can I help you?" And a familiar voice pipes up. "I'm looking for Urien. I'm looking for M. Where are they?" And Carlos looks a little bit confused. He looks as if he's never seen this person before. But it's a voice you recognize. It's Alfonso's.
Urien hand gestures to tell Carlos to allow them to enter.
And Carlos nods and opens the door a bit more, and Alfonso comes into, looking a little frazzled, comes into the house. He looks around a little bit frantically.
Alfonso, collect yourself and have a seat.
Urien, where's M?
In safe custody.
And you notice that he's shaking a little bit.
I have indeed noticed this. And again, I gestured for him to sit.
And he takes a seat. Looks as if he's trying to calm himself, but it doesn't look like he's having a very good time of it.
Alfonso, what is it that brings you to me? What is it that brings such concern to M and myself?
I I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. I just woke up and suddenly it's been happening over the last couple of days actually. I am getting the shakes. I can't control it.
Urien stands, looks over Alfonso. When was the last time you fed?
I made sure that I'm good right now. I'm not hungry, not really, not more than usual, and you know the voice is pretty calm, and everything's fine. I just can't stop shaking. I can't stop shaking. I can't stop thinking about M. I can't stop shaking.
I know.
Where is she?
Safe.
Urien, I need to know where she is.
I know. That is your bond to her.
Bond?
Yes. You have a small amount of her blood in you to give you focus.
It's been
And
like
now you see how it is without.
it's been a couple of weeks without, and I can't concentrate. I can't focus. I can't. The fuck do I do? What do I do?
I told you I would take care of you, did I not?
Yeah.
It is more taxing for me. But I can perform the same as him, if you wish it.
I I I would I don't I don't know what to do. So I'm at your guidance right now.
What you are feeling is the wearing of the bond. Alfonso.
You haven't even told me what that blonde is. What's going on with me?
I'm double checking, but I'm fairly certain this is a blood bond. That is starting to break down. So I'm going to just double check that with what's occult.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna willpower it.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 successes.
But you've been around long enough to know that this is definitely the degradation of a very strong blood bond.
You have been at M's beck and call. Pardon, and she has guided you.
Yeah.
And I need to keep her safe. You have been made aware that her presence is making things complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that. That she's got somebody chasing her.
And so you understand why I have to keep her safe by not disclosing her location to even one as trusted as you.
Yeah.
You cannot stop thinking of her, but you are trying to think of her well-being.
That's the only thing on my mind ever.
He reaches a hand across, offering it to Alfonso.
And Alfonso takes your hand, and you can feel him shaking uncontrollably.
Take, as you have offered for me, I now offer to you.
Are you good? 'Cause
Not in the slightest,
uh,
but it is a sacrifice I give to you. A loyal friend. One who looks for M. One who looks for her well-being. So if I must go hungry for a night, that is a small price to pay for loyalty to one of my pupils.
she's everything to me.
And so I will offer you a salve. Not a strong one, but something that can help take the edge off.
He nods.
Take but a small sip.
And
Urien kind of braces himself. He knows that this is going sharp pain with exclusive ecstasy, but he cannot fall to that right now, unless he be consumed by this thin blood.
all right. And so he takes your hand and pulls it close to his lips and sinks his teeth into the vein on your wrist. And you can feel the slow draw of vitae going from your vein to his mouth.
Stop. Stop, Alfonso, stop.
And he lets go.
He looks to Alfonso. Looks at these holes in his wrist. He licks the wound to close it. Miraculous on how that still works even on Kindred. Focus on me. Em is my pupil, and I will not allow her or those under her charge to fall astray. Mine, my blood, all that I am, courses in your veins in this small time, as is in Carlos, making you almost as brothers in that regard. But my bond to you is the one where I have done all I could to save you and aid you and aid your sire.
Yeah.
That is in my best interests. I hunger.
If you want help with that, then we can all hunt together, right?
He raises a hand, looking at Carlos, and looks back to Alfonso. I do not keep secrets from my child, so you know that I cannot. Mine, I will only take when there is a perpetrator, when somebody crosses the line in this domain. When blood is given to me by the thin bloods under my care. That is not my demand, it is their gift. And I must be worthy of such gifts. Do you understand me, Alfonso?
Yeah.
when you are ready. If you feel that you wish to enact this,
I'm good right now if you need something.
you will be my blood then. If this is what you allow.
Yeah.
You will hunt for me for 3 nights, and I will offer you a small token of my own. And in doing so, little thin blood, I will bind you to me. But in doing so, I will be sure to know that you have a place in here. My pond is well stocked for individuals like you. And I wish to see it prosper with individuals like you. You young ones will take time to grow, to build yourselves. And I will teach all of you to the best of my ability.
Yeah, anything I can do to help.
He looks at him and there's that predatory instinct.
Thin bloods.
If you offer...
Thin bloods are very delicious and they come with no tax.
No, they don't. But don't overtax them. That is a quick way to get caught. That is a quick way to cause problems. I will, both to Alfonso. Do you freely, for your own volition, agree to the terms I have provided?
Yes, I do. Anything for M.
Then in the name of my pupil, I will take your gift and let her know that you are in her thoughts as she is in yours. And I will shepherd you both through this valley of darkness that we now call eternity. He looks to Alfonso, opens his arms, and waits for the thin blood to present himself.
Alfonso moves into your arms, turns his back to you, and presents his neck.
I am sure not to drink too deeply. I will only take a small portion.
Oh, why not take it all?
Because then we would have to do this all over again, and you would go hungry for the next 3 or 4 nights while we do this all over again. And you don't want to be hungry now, do you?
No.
Yes, then stop trying to starve yourself and let me do my work.
You're no fun.
I'm fun when it's required. And with you, it is never required.
How much are you taking?
I am only taking 1. I am not going to put this thin blood in a position where he could hunger frenzy, cause more of a pain in the ass than he already can be. And I want him controlled, lucid. I want him to be capable. And I can't do that if he is in the throes of hunger frenzy. So, I will take 1, my small amount of taxation. But in doing so, I will end up slowly binding him to me. And I will carry the leash that M is unable to carry. This will take time.
A lot more
Enough.
time than M putting that leash on.
Yes. But I am willing. It only takes a drop. But I intend to give more, if possible.
And
I
as you're
lick the wound.
licking the wound, you hear another knock on the door.
Alfonso,
And Alfonso is pretty dazed.
seat yourself.
Yeah. And he kind of stumbles a little bit and gets back into a chair.
Remain silent. Carlos, would you be kind enough to get the door?
And Carlos nods and goes toward the door.
I wipe the blood from my mouth, savoring the last little bit of thin blood. Thin blood may be true to its name, but it is so much sweeter. Not of the kind.
So delicious.
I can't believe we fed on anything else before. Or perhaps that's a trait of my old self, just finding new tastes.
So much more decadent than human blood ever could be.
I have to agree with that.
Dessert for dinner every night.
Yes. Well, let's not try and get too fat while we're young.
Carlos goes to the door, looks out through the peephole, a little bit out the window, and then opens the door to reveal that Amber is standing there.
Ah, excellent. Carlos, thank you. But we will work on the manners later. You'll have to forgive him, Amber. Oh. There we are. You'll have to forgive him, Amber. He is still learning presentation and prestation.
Can never
You
be too
remember
careful.
Alfonso?
I do. It's a pleasure to see you again. She gives a small bow.
We just finished the transaction and I asked for him to stay a little longer. I hope that the evening is doing you well.
I would say so. The only thing I suppose that is irking me is the convenience of time and the things that I want to do, the people I wish to talk to being always tied up in other things. But it is what it is, I suppose.
I make time. You cannot find it, you must craft it.
Oh yes, and in you I have that trust, but in others, in the kind and in other less trustworthy kindred, well. But I found out a couple of things that are very interesting that you may wish to know.
Carlos, you look as though you need a smoke break. Could you be kind enough to escort Alfonso outside for a brief moment? Perhaps you two could... I think it would do you well to find someone of your own age to understand perspective.
Carlos
I will
not.
call.
Go
I
ahead.
will call you both in when Amber is finished.
Carlos simply nods and looks to Alfonso, who's coming out of that daze from feeding, from being fed upon. And the both of them leave the house for the moment, exiting out to the front porch.
Urien kind of waits for the door to close. I cannot tell you, Amber, much I have missed this. As small as it is. So, go on.
I suppose it is in the quaintest things that we find the most beauty, but no, I did some rudimentary reconnaissance on our good friend Deacon.
I trust his family does well.
As far as I know, they are getting very concerned about one Dante O'Donoghue that they can't seem to get in contact with.
And they never will. He is dead.
Yes. I suppose that is unfortunate for them. But
It is.
no, my thought goes to the things that were said. He had someone else come over to his house. I tailed him from his place of work, the Northside ISD precinct. And he was talking to another man named Chuck concerning you, that you were the only lead that they had.
Amusing.
As far as I am aware, the only thing they have on you is your name. They have nothing else. They're looking desperately, but it seems like Deacon is seeing fit to get more and more people involved to try and find you, and I thought that would be something of concern.
Well, we can make that very different. It would be a small showing, but perhaps that part could be simple enough. At least now. I would also need to end up. I believe this can be leveraged, but it is not my task to perform. So, what are your concerns and questions, Ember?
My concern is that if he's pulling in one person, that he would be more than willing to pull in more. There is also the matter of whilst I have found a new little trick that I can perform, I didn't manage to catch all of their conversation due to some exceptionally bright lights. So I am not sure if they have anything else. As far as I'm aware, they don't, but they may. And that the way that they talked about Dante, they were a family friend of the Johnsons, and so I feel as though he is willing to take this personally, which, when one discards their sense of professionalism, especially in an occupation such as that one, things can tend to get a little dangerous.
Perhaps. So, what do you intend to do?
I do not like trifling with maybes, and as such, I thought to have a little chat with someone who may know a little more. someone who you might actually be able to help me get in contact with. I'm going to try and get in contact with Mr. Duval.
Now, why would you wish to do that?
I have two reasons. First, I am very much aware that they love hoarding information. And any information that I can get, any extra information that I can get on Deacon without having to get into proximity, the better. And also because I have an idea regarding the threat that we all face. Something that I brought up with Benji and with those who serve Baron Batista.
Go on.
Rascal blabbering his mouth shows that those who control the information might not be able to be trusted. Not fully, anyway. Those who hoard secrets can't truly be trusted, but I mean even less so. And so I had an idea to build a foundation level information network below that of the prying eyes of the rumor mill, and to spread some rumors in said mill. Things that, if a Camarilla agent were to start looking, might lead them down the wrong path. We cannot silence all of the eyes and all of the ears, so we must control what they see.
Allow me to offer then a small insight. Duval is not who you seek.
If you have someone better in mind, I am more than happy to take any suggestions.
He walks up and goes to what appears to be a chalkboard that they've been practicing circles with, and erases it. Takes a piece of chalk and he draws a beast of some sort, a four-legged creature, a dog, a larger wolf, and he hands it over to Amber. Hang that outside the door. Oh, one more thing. He draws that, and just underneath it, he draws a rose. Very quickly, nothing too artistic, but Amber, you place that on the door. And if you are patient enough, your target will come to you.
I see.
He is large and hideous, and very dangerous. Amber. The last time he was to be humbled, it required 3 kindred, and a lot of blood, and a lot of pain.
And I will do my best to not irritate him.
Yes. Be careful what you express to him when it comes to the policeman. It's a sensitive subject, but there's none who know the policeman better. I can assure you of this.
I will make sure to be careful in what it is that I articulate to him then. And I will make sure to not arouse his ire. But thank you, Urien. The more information that I have, the more that I can exploit against this policeman, and the more that I can make our problems go away.
The more you speak like that, the more likely it is that this creature will tear your head clean off its shoulders. You are dealing with someone who has no interest in the war with the Camarilla. They will not be dissuaded. They will, however, be persuaded with the well-to-do outcome and the removal of this policeman. Deacon Johnson must stop his investigation and return to the force, focusing on the tasks of keeping the city safe from more mundane concerns. And hopefully retire, enjoy the time with his family as they grow up and grow old, and he will die of old age. Make that happen. And Wolf, this creature, will be more than content. Say otherwise, and it will be your undoing. Let us see if that silver tongue is actually useful, and you are not just embraced for your albino beauty.
Quite. Right. Then begin this little dance I shall. Although I thought I should let you know also as a point of, I suppose, curiosity, that I've learned how to do something. How to better fixate my senses.
Yours is the eyes of the hawk, the sight of detail, yes.
Sight of detail, ears can pick up more, everything just...
Yes. I'm told that you could smell the point of exhaust even from here. It's one of the reasons I chose this location, was because it was more removed from the stink of automobiles. It is something that offended a student of mine.
I see. But no, it's just something that I learned, and I thought that you might wish to know that.
It is appreciated, and I look forward to the outcome. Show me how you played the game, Amber. And once you are done with tic-tac-toe, I will teach you checkers.
She would nod respectfully and go to hang up that that picture that Urien drew by the door, just as he said to.
And it's on that note that we will take our little break. We will be back shortly, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to San Antonio by Night, Episode 7. The two of our coterie mates we've been following today, Urien and Amber, have just been discussing some of the information that Amber had retrieved about Deacon Johnson, as well as determining what their plan of action is in regards to figuring out how to deal with this. One of those plans of action to be to contact an old friend that Urien knew, Wolf, by hanging a small chalk slate on the outside of the door with a picture of a dog-like creature and a picture of a rose. And so that's where we are. Amber has just hung up the sign on the outside of the house. Carlos and Alfonso are just down the yard a little ways, having basically been told to shove off for a moment, but are there looking at Amber. So what's the plan? Carlos says.
The plan, first and foremost, is to end up teaching you both a little bit of manners. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to postpone that particular lesson. However, gentlemen, stands. Alfonso, I wish for you to look after Amber. You're going to run into an old acquaintance, and I need this old acquaintance to understand not to get rowdy. You will serve as a reminder of that.
Alright, let me think about something really quick. Pretty sure I've got something I can do.
You are here simply in a bodyguard capacity. Prepared for something to happen, but do not engage unless there is a threat to Amber.
Got it.
Amber
I can be
will
punchy
doing
when I
all
need
the
to be.
talking. That is why I like you. You will end up observing, listening, and learning. Understand, we sometimes must speak with our adversaries. Amber, I'm hoping, will end up serving as a good example of such. Carlos, we will be out on what I like to call patrol. You and I will oversee our domain. We are going to encounter a few individuals who I interact with to get the word. And I wish to end up having you understand a longer term perspective.
Alright. Continuing with the schoolwork. Got it.
Well, depending on how things go, see what I can do to make things a little more interesting for you. But I'm trying.
I mean, it's all interesting. I'm just... It's a lot.
The schoolwork will continue for years. So get comfortable.
Should I be taking notes? Is there gonna be a test?
No, never take notes. If you can avoid taking notes, do so. Urien grabs hold of his bag. If you are ever carrying notes, you must be ready to burn them at a moment's notice.
Fair enough. Masquerade and all that. That's,
You understand?
secrecy.
It is. We will be on our way, Amber. We'll close the door behind us. Understand this individual will have a more difficult time getting in without knocking on the door. That does not mean that they cannot be in here.
Understood.
And with that, Urien starts to, or nods his head to each of them to say, to have a good night. And starts to make his way out the door with this child. Turning on Sense the Unseen and observing surrounding area before going about his usual routine and teaching Carlos its significance.
Are you planning on sticking around long to look for things, or are you just quick glance while you're leaving?
I am just a quick glance while I'm leaving. It is Amber's prerogative, first and foremost.
Okay. You switch on your senses to that which is unseen, and in the immediate time frame, there is nothing to detect. Nothing new, besides the ward.
Urien starts to walk after giving the van a once over. Double checks that it hasn't been tampered with or anything. There's no bugs or trackers or anything on it. He looks at Carlos and tells him to.
He was observing and possibly helping you this time.
Fantastic. I toss the keys to him. I will instruct you where to drive, but I want you to feel the road, so to speak. You do have a license, do you not?
Yeah. Yeah, I can drive.
Fantastic.
Do you? Probably not.
He kind of looks. To be fair, most police officers don't give me too much of a difficulty. Usually they know better. He pulls out a small sheet of paper and writes something down on it. Looks like he's doing another design. And as they start to drive, he raises his hand to stop as soon as they get just before the intersection where you start to get out of the woods and what have you, where somebody could see it from the main road. And he just kind of tacks it to a tree. Another image of Wolf. Just tacks it on with a quick staple gun. And you can see that there's several staples in this tree. Like, this is not the first time he's done this.
Right.
But he wants to make it clear that
you are reaching out?
I am reaching out without making a lot of calls or a lot of noise. And with that, he gets back in the van and allows Carlos to start driving, himself directing.
Alright. The two of you make your way through the domain, while Amber and Alfonso stay behind. Alfonso just kind of looks at you a little bit shy. He's not entirely sure how to interact with you at the moment.
Amber would probably be sitting on the couch at this point in time. It's comfy. So, and she'll just beckon him over and, come on dear, come and sit. I don't bite. At least not you anyway.
He nods, and then comes and sits on the couch. I'm Alfonso. I don't know that we've been properly introduced.
No, I don't think we have. I'm Amber. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure. Cool.
Oh, I must ask.
Uh-huh.
This wolf character.
Mm.
What is he like?
Big. Strong. Got this giant, like, long, like, horse mane, I guess? I wouldn't know exactly how to describe it. I've never, like, touched his hair, because that's rude. Got funky looking face. He kinda looks like a dog. But big. Like 7.5 feet tall big.
My, that is big.
Yeah. The last time we interacted with him wasn't pretty, so.
I will hope that things go a little more amiably this time.
I hope so.
The last thing I want is violence. Violence is unbecoming.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't like to do that, but I know that sometimes I can get punchy. So it's good to know how to punch when you get punchy.
Yes, I can agree with that. I'm more of a leg girl myself, but well, what can I say when you're someone like me in the industry that I used to work in actively? You need to learn to be able to defend yourself from those who like to get a little bit too handsy. You know what I mean?
Ugh. Now crepes is I just want to punch crepes in the face.
You know, if it was a different time and we'd met under different circumstances, I definitely would have looked to have had hired you as a security detail of sorts. If your skills are, as they say.
I'm decent. Not the greatest, but I'm decent, I guess. Got a lot more that I could probably learn in that regard.
Hmm. Well, I mean, if we're looking at it from an objective point of view, you said that the last time that you'd met this wolf character, things did get a little violent, and I know that from what Mr. Doyle told me, it required 3 kindred to subdue him. So if
Mm-hmm.
he is as large and as powerful as is implied, then that must speak something of your skill.
I kind of got smacked around. Uh, I didn't really do much that was very effective, except be a wall to punch.
Distraction is as effective a tactic as any.
I suppose.
There are some who make a living upon being punching bags, living tanks, if you will, those who can take as many hits as is required.
I wish I could take hits better though. It was rough. It was not
Oh,
great.
I could imagine. And truly, I could imagine. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. We're all on the same side doing the same thing, right? Kind of just making sure this place is
Existing.
good.
Yeah. I mean, that is one way to put it.
That's
That we
what's
are
important.
all on the same side, attempting to keep this thing safe so that we may maintain our interests.
Yep. I definitely want to make sure that this place is safe. I want to do that in every way possible.
That is good to hear. I know that Mr. Doyle would be very glad to hear that you have dedication to the cause.
Pretty sure he's already aware.
Oh yes, I'm sure he's already aware, but it's always nice to hear it, you know?
I suppose.
It's like appreciation and adoration. You might know that someone appreciates and adores everything that you are, but it's never truly the same as hearing them say it.
Maybe I don't do that
So,
enough.
hmm.
Oh, pardon me.
But it is something that one should be given but not become accustomed to. Once you become accustomed to it, it becomes boring, and the last thing you want is to bore yourself. We have the rest of eternity ahead of us. You need to make sure to stay as entertained as you possibly can, because boredom creates fear, and fear is the mind killer.
Are you often very bored?
Unfortunately, 'tis my nature for my fascination to be fleeting. I try my best, but there is only so much that one can do. But of course, I have ingrained myself in an ever-changing, dynamic world. A fashion world. With all of its cutthroat ruthlessness and changing ideas. It always chews up and spits out visionaries, and in those visionaries I can always find a little bit of fascination, so that I'm never truly bored.
That's good.
But it's kind of hard to keep yourself truly fascinated when your entire life is painted in various shades of malaise.
Hmm. I guess this existence can't get pretty boring, I guess.
Especially so when your mind moves a million miles an hour, that even time itself cannot keep up.
That's gotta be weird. My
It
mind doesn't
was
do
to
that.
begin with. It was to begin with, but I've gotten a little used to it.
Huh. And it's a couple of moments later, as you're still continuing to talk with Alfonso, that you hear a knock on the door. A rather weighty knock.
That'll be our guest. Alfonso, would you be a dear and get the door?
Sure. Alfonso gets up from his seat and moves to the window in the peephole to look out. Takes in a deep breath and opens the door a crack. Hey, he says. I heard I've been summoned. You hear another voice beyond the door. And Alfonso steps aside and opens the door and allows a rather large, probably the largest you've seen so far, Nosferatu. Sunken eyes, a wolf-like bite, a long mane of white hair. Dressed in jeans and a hoodie. I assume it wasn't you who called me here, he said to Alfonso.
This will be when Amber speaks up, standing now. It's like, no, it was not. Please, come in.
And he walks into the room, and Alfonso closes the door behind him. What do you want?
I wish to talk with you. Wolf, was it?
Yeah, you can call me that. What do I call you?
You may call me Amber. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure.
But I wished to talk with you about an individual by the name of Deacon Johnson.
Where's Urien?
He is currently away dealing with other matters.
Alright. Suppose that makes sense. What do you want with Deacon Johnson?
It has come to the attention that he has been to snoop around in Kindred affairs.
In Kindred affairs? In general or specific?
In specific, that he is looking into a disappearance, one that, as far as I'm aware, Urien had a hand in.
Care to be specific about who disappeared?
I believe it was one Dante O'Donoghue.
You wouldn't have to look far.
No, he would not. From my own little recon, it's clear that the only link that they have to this disappearance. Apparently, Dante was a family friend of Deacon's, and due to this, he is attempting to dig, and the only link he has to it at all, the only lead he has, is Urien.
I'm already aware of this.
And my goal here is to attempt to dissuade Deacon from continuing his investigation, put his mind back on mortal affairs. Back on the force as a person who protects and serves the kind, so that he may retire to the country with his wife and child and pass away in peace.
What does this have to do with me?
I was told that when it comes to Deacon, you're the man with the information.
What do you already know? I can fill in some gaps.
Current family consists of a wife and a 2-year-old daughter. He currently operates out of the Northside IPD precinct. And he has confided in a beat cop by the name of Chuck about this. About the link that Urien has to Dante, and their leads in attempting to locate Urien.
He's getting
Currently,
other
I am...
people involved.
Yes, it was something that gave me quite a large amount of concern, because if he's getting one person involved, how many more?
Chuck was his partner on the beat. Now that Johnson's been promoted to detective, they're not partners anymore. But apparently still friends. That's what I know.
Do you have any idea whether this Chuck will present a problem going forward? Because the last thing that I'm sure any of us want is Deacon or Chuck finding out where you're in, looking for him.
I suppose, so long as no one finds out how to reach him, because Urien never carries a phone. You're pretty much in the clear. If all they have is a name and never have anything more, that would keep them out of this place. And that's what Urien wants most of all. People to leave him alone.
Yes, he is a man who very much likes his privacy.
We all do, to an extent.
Regarding Deacon, Do you know of anything that may dissuade his attention from this investigation? Anything going on with him that may warrant the moving of his attention somewhere else?
It's gonna be hard, or it would be hard, to distract someone from looking into the disappearance of a family friend. But I suppose if things got a little bit more intense in his detective work, he might be sufficiently distracted. Hard to say.
See. This is quite the insight.
I'm sure every bit of what I've said you already know. So what do you really want?
As I said, my way is to simply dissuade him from looking in any further.
Then make his life harder.
Yes, his life harder.
Just be careful how you do it.
Course, the last thing I want is him deciding to
Change focus to another kindred.
doesn't solve any problem, simply shifts the problem from one foot to another. But I do very much thank you for your time, Mold, and for your advice. You have been most helpful.
Is that it?
Currently, yes.
Then it was a pleasure to meet you, Miss Dupree.
Amber stops for a moment. I don't recall giving you my last name.
You're a hard one to miss.
In that, I suppose you're right.
Have a good night. And
You as well.
he goes to leave the house,
Yeah.
shutting the door behind him.
Let him leave. What's done is done. And a little bit after he's gone, Amber waiting a minute or so just to make properly sure that he's gone. She kind of raises her hand to her mouth, kind of blinking as she reflexively gags just a little bit, swallowing and shuddering a little bit.
You alright? Alfonso says.
Yeah. I just... Your description didn't do that justice. Or too much justice. Whichever way you want to look at it. Oh god,
Yeah.
he's butt fugly.
Yeah, he's one. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Oh boy. But it's a very interesting thing that he let me know. Make his life harder. Yes, that's actually very interesting, and I think I might have a way to do that.
You have a plan? I mean, who am I kidding? All of you have plans all of the time?
Uh, Alfonso, I will let you in on a little secret. Not every kindred is the Machiavellian schemer that is
No.
Mr. Doyle. But, yes, I have a plan.
Alright. I suppose that's good enough, right?
And, depending on how things go, I may require your assistance with it.
I don't know how much help I'll be, but I'll do what I can.
I'm sure once I have the absolute details figured out on how I'm going to execute this, that you will be a wonderful help, dear.
Let's hope.
And she smiles to him sweetly, turning on the charm just a little bit. Not going so far as to activate actual presence, but turning on the charm just a little.
And he can't help but smile back. And it is on that note we will shift focus to Urien and Carlos, as they have made their way through the streets of their domain, having put up posters to signal Wolf. Hopefully, he'll arrive at the meeting house soon and give Amber what she needs.
You want to end up knowing something amusing, Carlos?
Shoot.
Has it ever occurred to you that whenever you see a poster that says, "Lost cat, please call such and such a number," that it is actually attached to a burner phone and is just there in case anybody starts speaking about things they shouldn't know, to contact Kindred of that domain to help them find this lost kitten, this breach?
How often does that happen? How often is it not an actual missing cat?
It's in the details. The more it looks like the person cares about the cat, the less likely it is to actually be somebody who is looking for a cat. One is concerned about the pet, the other is concerned with their own existence.
Huh. That's an interesting way to think of it. Never
You'll
thought
learn
about
to
it
end-
like that.
You never had a reason to.
Mm.
That is what I mean. I choose not to end up using a cell phone because such a device brings nothing but complications. When you are long-lived, you start realizing that you can do with less and less and less than you think. Urien continues. I'm basically bringing this into a resolve as he's kind of scanning alleyways and what have you as he does so while Carlos drives. Allows him to, since he knows what he's looking for, and Carlos really doesn't.
Mm. As in, you are looking for evidence of Wolf?
I'm looking for evidence of someone doing something they shouldn't be on my domain.
On your domain. Okay. Um. Give me. Let's see. Let's take a look. Yeah, resolve plus streetwise. Looking for signs. Signs of people doing what they shouldn't. There's not really a whole lot of people out so far.
That's understandable. Which is fine. This is more of a casual thing. I'm not in true need. I asked this question of every one of those childer that end up in my nest. When you look out that windshield, what do you see?
I see the road. I'm pretty familiar with this area. I used to live around here, actually. It's like way back when I was like real little. Then we moved out north of town, but I don't know. It's changed a lot since I saw it last, and I don't remember. Can't even be sure what I saw last was a real memory or something made up. So it was that little.
Concerning, isn't it?
What?
If you do that, you can't be sure of your own memory, or even who you are. For all you knew, before you met me, you were a construct of someone else trying to cover up a secret.
All we can really be sure of is our own perceptions, I guess.
Which are faulty.
Human
The
brain
reason
and
I
all
ask,
that.
yes, very much so. The reason I ask is because this is my little slice of the city. I have control over it as much as I can keep. To do that, I need kindred, people, money, guns, secrets, eyes, ears, infrastructure. Because when I see this, I see a hub of people coming and going. We need people to have reasons to come, but not reasons to stay. We need people to stay late night. Clubs and bars are nice to start, but it is not where true growth happens. I picture skyscrapers. I picture buildings of glass and steel industry.
A lot of that happens downtown.
How do you think downtown got started?
I mean, if you're wanting skyscrapers, this is like the worst part of town. You got the mall, but it's residential.
Yes. But it can be built into much more. And I don't have to do it right away, do I?
Suppose not. Given long enough, you probably poke at a thing here, prod at a thing there.
So what would you do?
What would I do?
If this entire thing, all you see before you is yours, is at your beck and call to do it as you see fit. What would do?
Well, I'd only really thought of being well, I had thoughts of being a police officer at one point in my life, but security was the best I could do, given that, I had a child, and I couldn't really dedicate a whole lot of my time otherwise. But I don't know. The city itself, I don't know that there's anything that I would personally change, but
You said you were interested in security. I think you and me are in the same business in a strange way.
yeah, it's always it always felt, I don't know, fulfilling to know that I'm protecting something. And I got the job at the hospital because, sometimes to help people, you gotta muscle them down because they're having a fit or something, and you just gotta do that and then keep, junkies from like running off with things from the pharmacy and all that kind of shit.
I think you will do extraordinarily well here, Carlos.
You think so?
I have an eye for talent. Yours is a skill set that is still being chiseled, but the form is there. I would dare say, that you are, well, I suppose the first thing I must do is acquire you a firearm of some sort. Tell me, do policemen still wield blunderbusses?
Oh God, no.
Beat smells up, Carlos.
Wow, that's yeah, blunderbusses are rudimentary shotguns at best. Not even accurate.
No, they are not.
No,
I'm trying to joke with you, Carlos. I know that a blunderbuss is not something modern. That last
No.
time I had such discussions, somebody introduced me to a desert eagle. Which, when I first heard it, the term, I pictured such a bird in flight over a moonscape desert. Funny in how I think of these things.
No, I go to the shooting range occasionally, and I don't really have desert eagles there, but I've fired a Glock a couple of times, and I'm pretty accurate with a taser.
Unfortunately, a taser does very little.
Well,
To put this into perspective for one of us, what would happen if you tased an rotted, atrophied corpse?
probably not a lot.
Hmm.
Probably get some seared flesh and burning, and not really the convulsing, though.
No. You wouldn't get much of anything through it. Even a Glock does very little, unless you are very well accustomed to such things.
I'm a pretty good shot.
I trust that. I also trust that you are capable of keeping things silent if needed.
Yeah. Police batons are pretty nice.
I think I will do what I can to get you outfitted for the job.
Yeah, my own contacts used to be Emmanuel and Rascal, so I don't know where to get shit anymore.
I can acquire it. The hard part is funding. And that is mostly because I'm trying to fund you first. More accurately, your daughter. I'm sorry, Carlos, if I brought that up as a sore subject.
It's just, do I
You're
forgo that?
concerned.
Yeah, do I forgo that? Because then it'll look like I'm missing out on, like, custody or child support payments or some shit.
No. Carlos, you have no reason to disappear for quite some time. And while everything tells me to drop what life you had, your little girl is the thing that probably does you the most grace in this regard. As your sire, I would, well, let us say that when she comes of age, when you know what kind of sparrow she grows to be, then we can look at moving on. When you know that her life is truly her own. But until then, I would not strip the fatherhood from you.
Yeah, because Miranda's not exactly the greatest mom.
Perhaps. If you want, we can eat her.
Then where would Julie go? That's also, like, kind of morbid. Maybe a joke? I don't know. I can't tell. You've got this stoic face for a 19-year-old looking dude.
Is that the age I look?
19? 18? Something around? Like, hardly an adult?
You know, I lose track of these things.
That's also my best guess, too, so.
I'll have to check my driver's license and see what it says. That's always the worst part, too. Having to get that thing updated. Because there's only so many times they can believe you look really young before they start to catch on, so you have to move your dates up further and further and further. Eventually,
How do you do
it
that
just
without a
becomes
birth certificate?
Well, how do you get by without an embraced certificate?
Well, I meant more of the paperwork for the driver's license, but you know.
Perhaps one day I will teach you.
Forgeries
I,
have to come in real
I
handy.
have not met a copy yet that was above a significant bribe. They don't get paid nearly enough, truthfully.
That's a shame.
I'm hoping to be able to pay you far more. But what do you see, Carlos? Your eyes are on the road, but do you see more now? Actually, this is a mall. Pull over here. I'd like to introduce you to someone.
And
It
so
is Wednesday, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic.
And so he pulls the car over into the mall parking lot. Isn't the mall closed at this hour?
It is. But some people would be just getting out of the cinema.
Mm.
Now, if you were to try and catch a night, it would be fairly late, but we have a few hours to go. I'm just trying to see if I can see an old friend. Look for purple hair.
Purple hair. Alright.
Yeah. And try not to get too distracted. I'm going to keep an eye out while I talk with, well, a young ghost.
It's still so weird that you can see that kind of thing. I'm not even sure that I believe that you can, but, you know, I'm gonna take you at your word.
Well,
You were talking to yourself in the Alamo. I don't know what you were talking about. And it seemed like that other guy was, like, having the conversation, too. It's all really weird.
it gets weirder, I assure you. By the time we're done, you will be begging me to end up saying, can we just go back to circles again?
I guess it gets more complicated than that, huh?
Much more. But if I do my job right, you may hate it, but you will understand it. And with that, I'm going to look about and see if I can find our, well, one of the first kindred I caught near on my little bit of property.
Mm.
And while I end up doing that, I'm going to also keep an eye out for anything else that might be going on.
Okay. Then roll me a wits plus awareness.
Yes, because it's awareness, and I got a cat on my chest now.
Oh,
Not terrible. Not the best.
you go ahead and add one more die for Carlos's help.
Okay.
Unless you want him to roll by himself.
Nah, I'll roll one die. Nope.
Mm. Looking around, keeping your eyes out for a certain individual. There are individuals who come out of the theater, but it doesn't look like your purple-haired friend was here today.
Well, that's disappointing. Hopefully she didn't catch too early of a show.
It is like approaching 1, so...
Yes, I imagine so. Still,
Is this person you're
am
looking for
of
Kindred? Or vampire? Or whatever it is, whatever term?
He lowers his voice. I understand amongst our particular group, which I will explain to you in another night, everybody likes to end up throwing around the term vampire. And while I understand how nice it is, the truth of the matter is that we get by on secrecy, and so hence why we use different terms.
That's fair. I thought just since we're in the car...
It is a habit. And to be fair, does being called a vampire really instill in you any kind of pride or satisfaction, or does it simply make you feel as though you are some from horrible movies with terrible effects and corn syrup?
I think I see your point.
If you wish, if you are more of the punk demeanor, oftentimes you use the slenderest term, lick.
Lick.
Yes, you licks.
That just sounds weird. And
Really, I thought it was very gangster when I heard
man, you're showing your age more and more.
it. Perhaps.
Gangster. No, that doesn't sound real gangster at all. It sounds hokey. Like you're trying to insult somebody or trying to point somebody as like somebody's. I'm not judging someone's bedroom preferences. I have no idea.
Perhaps that's where it came from.
Maybe.
At this point, you are what we would call incognu.
What? A what?
Incognu.
Incognu.
Yes. You are unaligned.
Unaligned. Okay.
Many would, amongst a particular group, the Camarilla we made mention, would call you anarch. But everyone is an anarch outside of their sect. You, however, don't march the beat of an anarch's drum. An anarch is one who wishes to overthrow the shackles of their sires and grandsires, of the relationships between they find it unfair. They look at it as you're a child are nothing more than pawns, something to be used and discarded and hurled away.
Isn't that how you said that you grew up?
After a fashion. Some anarchs come from the Camarilla. We're not viewed in high light, but if we prove ourselves to be useful, then fantastic.
Makes
Most
sense
anarchs,
if you're standing up against the thing.
Yes, I suppose in that regard, Baron Delgato sees me as some form of trophy. I have the turncoat on my side. I have an air of legitimacy to my domain. My status and my abilities serve him, and as such his standing goes up. I imagine it's much with you. Though anarchs say that each must pull their own weight. So my job is to find a way to make you do so, but without becoming your tyrannical elder. Which is, as we discussed earlier, somewhat difficult for me, as you've already seen.
Yeah. Because you don't want to turn into the big boogeyman. Like,
Only when it's required.
I can understand that. Only like, flexing on people when it's necessary.
If anybody were to ask who you are, you might end up saying, I am the spawn of Satan. But you may call me Carlos.
Some people might find that hokey. Some people might find that interesting. Depending on if they know
entirely...
you.
Exactly. Amongst Kindred society, I make sure I am known. Your reputation is all you have, Carlos. It's the thing that follows you everywhere.
Good to have a good one, then.
I am looking into acquiring some property. Once a little bit of funding comes my way. I would need someone to put that property to use. Preferably someone who understands security and the value of having an ear to the street.
Turn it into some kind of safe house?
No. Unless that's what you wish it to be. Consider it your first test. Can you do something that contributes to the larger spectacle? In 300 years, can you take this small, little, I don't know, unit, and in 200 years, can you build me my first skyscraper?
That sounds like a challenge.
Not for one like you. But that is neither here nor there. Just musings of one who wants to see you grow. So, he continues to look out the window. Again, just looking for trouble, looking for things. It's not like he hasn't stopped looking this entire conversation, it's just he's been passing the time with it.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you wish to learn and understand, Carlos, before we close this night out? How would I assist in furthering your education?
That's a very good question. Still trying to understand you.
What part do you not understand?
Why, after all of this, why are you invested in me, aside from the fact that we're now blood related? I mean, see me grow. I mean, that sounds parent-like, family-like. Is that what I am to you now?
If I were to say yes, I would be lying. We have not reached that point yet. And I've already got to watch my family die kicking and screaming and being mutilated. I've seen people dance in their ashes. Drain them of everything they were worth. And so much as fuck the corpse. So no, Carlos. You are not a family to me. Not yet. What you are to me is an attempt to figure out who I am in this city. Things were done very differently in the city I hail from. everybody tries to do everything different than the camera is showing that this can work, that can work. In Tremere, we always find ourselves wanting to explore ideas, explore concepts, research, to try and understand. I understand myself. I don't get so disconnected from when I was that young.
Suspect.
You
Most people
go
have,
ahead.
most people have kids to, I don't know, live vicariously through them sometimes.
And yet I have no need for that, do I?
No.
And therein lies the dilemma. I believe the most poignant way to explain it, you were put in a no-win situation. Your death was the result of a bit of negligence. You were dragged through hell when it had to be so. However, you came out of it. Now, I had a choice. Do I destroy this thing that I've made, whose only fault was loyalty to his, well, supplier? Or do I accept that this individual who would take a bullet through the cheek would still not give up anything? It was at that moment I realized that there was something I admired, misplaced as it may be. And you forget these things. Did I ever tell you that I had a daughter?
A daughter. I don't think you've mentioned it.
I didn't. Do you know why?
Probably because that's close to heart information, and for all intents and purposes, I'm a stranger.
I can't remember her name.
Are you talking about another one like me, or are you talking about...
No, I cannot remember my own daughter's name. I can't remember her face. It is just a fact I remember. Like, you know that the planet goes around the sun. You don't think of it. It's just something you know is. But you can't think of it. You can't really understand it, except as an abstract concept. To you, your daughter is still alive. It is something you cherish. Your chest tightens when you end up hearing about it. But for me, I have a daughter, and I put my left shoe on before I put my right shoe on. These are equal in value.
That's what happens over time.
Yes. So, you'll pardon me if I am trying to hope that what I'm doing is actually a mercy and not some fool's errand in saying, be a father for a few more years. Even if it's at distance.
I don't intend to squander it, so...
When that time comes to an end, it will be painful for you. but you have to be at a point where you say nothing more than thank you. And you will walk away. You do not think about it again. You do not return to her. You do not seek out how she is doing. You simply end it knowing you did the best you could.
I don't look forward to that day.
No, I do not either. So, does that explain Urien Doyle to you a little bit more? The devil of San Antonio.
Yeah, a bit. Sure, I'll get to know more over time.
When you do, you'll wish you hadn't. Never forget I am a monster. I am a thing that drains the blood of predators. That does not make me good. It means I've just seen more.
And I believe it's on that note that we will end tonight's session. Carlos and Urien continue to go through the streets, eventually ending up back at the meeting house with more to think about. Thank you for playing, everyone.
Thank you for running.
Eee. 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 I'm just a weirdo. Sorry, don't mind me. But yes, that is our session for today. Let's get down to some experience. One for each of you for playing today.
Yay!
Yeah.
Out of the two of you, which of you moved the plot?
Amber.
I'll take it.
All right, Amber gets it. Bessine.
Urien.
Which one?
I think when he was talking with Alfonso and Carlos, like you honestly, any of Urien scenes this session would be great candidates for it. All of Urien scenes this session were great.
Alright, I'll take it.
I mean, I'm a fan of the whole show, so I'm biased.
Ironically unbiased in that regard.
Ironically.
I'm biased towards the whole show, but...
Yeah. Because
the whole
Amber
show.
had good scenes and Urien had good scenes. I'm just all about it. All about all of it. A memorable quote.
I don't even remember her name.
Oh, poor BB.
Yeah, no, that has to go to Urien.
Oh, poor.
The only other two that I would even remotely bring up is Urien's talking about, do policemen still carry blunderbusses? And Amber's little diatribe after Wolf had left.
Yeah, that would have been my second pick, truthfully, is the Amber throwing up. But it's like, you know what? Let's think about it. It's like, you know what? I can stab at CoffeeCat too.
Oh.
Don't even remember her name.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know that you've done well when the STs are attempting to make you bleed and you're making them bleed instead.
the reverse stab.
The reverse stab.
Fuck.
Combo breaker.
It's hard. It's hard to play Carlos and not want to cry.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like,
He's so sad.
I know, but I love the fact because it's like when I use the term fledgling, it takes on a completely different meaning with Carlos. Like, I literally look at him as a fledgling. It's like, I gotta protect this thing. I have to end up doing that. I have an attachment to it, and Urien has to remain distant, right? Like, yeah. I also absolutely love that whole line where it's like, I've ended up seeing them killed, drained, burned, crucified, torn to pieces, and they fuck the corpse.
Oh,
Like,
it just makes my heart hurt for what happened to Jackson.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
You know?
Yeah. I love it. I
But,
love all of it. Just love how tragic.
I gotta keep saving. I gotta keep saving. I'm at 17 experience, but I need 3 more experience. I need to ace all of next session in order to end up registering my next blood sorcery.
Yep. That's a thing. That's a thing that you're trying for. Is blood sorcery 4.
Well, fact of the matter is I need some way to defend myself at this point, because that's, like I said, we're dealing with Camarilla at this point.
And Urien's trying very hard to come up with all those blood sorcery things that would happen.
Yeah. Well, if I can get blood sorcery 5 at that point, it's like, okay, I at least got my options ready. But there is another thing that I need to save up for, and that's gonna be brutal.
What's that?
Blood potency 3.
That's 30.
Like, Urien isn't designed with a high skill set. He's designed with the idea that
he's a discipline focuser.
Well, I'm trying to leave everything else to everybody else, so I'm still just as dependent on them. But I need Amber to get on that right now, because I can't justify putting it in her if I were gonna lose it right away.
Yep.
But
no, I have there are things coming together on that one. Things very definitely coming together on that one. Although I must remind everyone, remember kids, corpse jacking isn't cool. Don't do it.
Yeah. Let's see.
But yeah, in regards to that, there is a time frame on if and when that dot of herd is going to be affected.
It's on Amber.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I've got the plan in mind. I just need to execute it.
I believe in you. Just need to execute it.
As do I.
I believe in you. Believe in all of you.
Will find out about said plan.
Urien doesn't want to end up having to hold the hand. Urien just wants you to end up coming over. It's been done, and that's it. That's as far as that conversation needs to go.
Yeah.
But
well, in that case, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it.
But that's the point, right?
Because
Urien
said
you wanted to be your bird. You wanted to be your own bird. You wanted to fly free. Show me it's worth it.
Yeah.
Show me what you would do flying free.
But dear God, I'm still kind of hyped about this session, just for the stupidest reasons.
I love it. I love that you guys love this play. I'm glad you love this game. It's every ST's worry that you don't put on a good game, and I worry sometimes that I'm not putting on a good game, or I'm not being consistent, or I'm.
That's here every day of my life.
Yeah. No, like, you wanna know what? I love the character building.
I love character building.
I love the arcs. I like to see Amber trying to end up doing these plots and like just watching like, okay, if
Ooh,
I were them, I'd be doing this, this, and this. Okay, they're doing this, this. Why aren't they asking this? What like I'm trying to figure out Amber's angle,
mm,
but the hilarious thing is that the more I end up looking at it, the more I'm going, okay, you're gonna run into this problem, and this problem. I can already see that, but that's gonna be entertaining as fuck. Um, but yeah. Let's see here. What else do I need? Dear God, I gotta get some fucking resources soon.
Amber, are you spending any experience
Nope.
today? Okay,
Nope. I am banking.
then that does it for the
Resolve 2,
XP.
damn it!
Eh, Trust me, there's a part of me that's looking at it and it's like, I'm really tempted to try and spend for Wits 3 and start putting in more points in awareness just because of how frequently I'm being asked to check for shit.
Mm,
But
it's never a bad skill to have.
it isn't. But what I'm more laughing at is the fact that I'm looking at my other stats and I'm going, it's not a terrible idea to try and boost up some other shit.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, it's personal building more than anything.
mm.
Um, we'll have to find out next week.
Yep,
Yeah.
we will
Squeak,
definitely.
squeak.
We'll definitely be doing more next week. Hopefully, we will have Spectre Deflector to figure out what Benji will have done and will be doing in the coming nights next session. So, with that being said, we are going to call it a night. Thank you everyone for coming out and watching. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.